The garden has for many centuries served as a central element in Muslim culture. The Holy Quran itself portrays the garden as a central symbol of a spiritual ideal, a place where human creativity and divine majesty are fused, where the ingenuity of humanity and the beauty of nature are productively connected. Gardens are a place where the ephemeral meets the eternal, and where the eternal meets the hand of man.
Gardens are a central feature of the built environment in Muslim cultures. Some of the most famous historic monuments built by Muslims, such as the Taj Mahal in India and the Alhambra in southern Spain, have equally famous gardens. They are known as paradise gardens because they evoke the descriptions of paradise in the Quran, including rivers of water, gushing fountains, the cool, refreshing shade of lush green trees, and delicious hanging fruits. The most common form of Islamic garden is the chaharbagh, a formal four-part garden that typically features channels of water and a fountain or pool at the centre. Such Persian-style gardens spread throughout the Muslim world, being adapted to different contexts from Andalusian Spain to Mughal India. Yet these formal gardens had their roots in agriculture and the need to cultivate a hot, dry landscape where water is the most precious resource.
If you look back historically in Islamic countries, the conveyance of water to fields, to orchards, to the bustan, to cultivate vegetables, food, was an essential piece of survival, and that those elements were then brought into the formal garden and envisioned as part of the Garden of Paradise.
His Highness the Aga Khan is the 49th hereditary Imam or spiritual leader of the Shia Ismaili Muslims and chairman of the Aga Khan Development Network or AKDN. Under his leadership, his institutions have undertaken a range of projects throughout the world to build or revitalize parks and gardens in various countries. These include Al-Azhar Park in Cairo, the gardens of Humayun's tomb in Delhi, and parks in Dubai, Kabul, Mali, Tajikistan, and Toronto. Additionally, the Ismaili centres and many other Ismaili spaces of gathering also feature courtyard gardens with fountains, trees, and flowers. During the Aga Khan's Diamond Jubilee, marking 60 years of his leadership, 3 garden projects are being inaugurated on 3 different continents. These are the Sundar Nursery in Delhi, India, the Aga Khan Garden in Edmonton, Canada, and the Islamic Gardens at King's Cross, London, which feature various gardens, courtyards and terraces within the Aga Khan Centre, Victoria Hall student accommodation, and in the public realm. Thomas Waltz is the principal landscape architect with the firm Nelson Bird Waltz, who designed the Aga Khan Garden in Edmonton, as well as the Garden of Light, one of the gardens at the Aga Khan Centre, London. Nelson Bird Waltz are also designing a park for AKDN in Vancouver, Canada.
Each of them shares a step into the 21st century in the legacy of the Islamic garden. However, the character of a courtyard on the 9th floor in London is very different from the University of Alberta Botanic Garden in Edmonton. So what we've done is take the conceptual framework of the Islamic garden and shown how extremely adaptable it is to climate and to the specificities of place.
But what is the significance of these park and garden projects? Why invest so heavily into building and rehabilitating parks and gardens around the world? Islamic gardens serve as a space of spiritual contemplation and communal gathering, offering opportunities for quiet reflection and for remembering the gifts of the divine. They also bring families and communities together for relaxation, cultural events, and for sport. For example, after decades of war, Bagh-e Babur in Kabul provided citizens with a green space to gather and relax, and sees hundreds of thousands of visitors each year.
These parks are also a catalyst of social relationships between the different communities that live in the environment of those parks, where all these people can get together with their own families in an environment that is conducive to establish contact with your neighbor.
Gardens also play an important role in environmental stewardship and scientific advancement. They are meant not only to be places of pleasure, but also of productivity. This includes the conservation and careful use of water in agricultural contexts, and botanical research and innovation in royal gardens. Being a wetland, scarcity of water is not a problem at the Aga Khan Garden in Edmonton. A formal charbagh flows into a large pond, around which is a bustan or orchard, with fruit trees native to a cold climate. In the province of Alberta, one pressing conservation issue is the impact of oil sands mining on wetland infrastructure. The garden responds to this by including diverse native plants in such abundance that the seed can be gathered to provide stock for planting new wetlands. This is in keeping with the model of Islamic Gardens, engaging actively to benefit its own environment.
Our hope, because this is a fundamental understanding of Islam, that mankind is here to be a steward of the creation of God, that people coming to this garden will be inspired to bring this message of stewardship into their own lives.
Too often in recent years, urban architecture, under pressure from rural populations, urbanizing, greater human longevity, and shrinking budgets, has neglected the importance of open spaces in a healthy city landscape. We keep crowding more buildings into dense concentrations while shortchanging the enormous impact that well-designed open spaces, green spaces, can have on the quality of urban life.
The Sundar Nursery in Delhi provides 70 acres of green space in a metropolitan area with over 26 million people. It has contributed to the local ecology through the planting of 20,000 plants and 280 tree species, and bringing 80 new species of birds that had left the urban context. The Sundar Nursery is part of a wider cultural and economic revitalization project that includes the restoration of the Emperor Humayun's tomb and its gardens, the earliest example of a Mughal garden tomb, as well as improving the quality of life of people in the surrounding area, Nizamuddin Basti. This includes establishing an early childhood development centre, refurbishing a primary school, running vocational training programs, upgrading a health clinic, improvements to the urban fabric, and reviving living cultural traditions which encompass performing arts, classical music, poetry, and traditional crafts. Women creating traditional crafts now augment family incomes with sales of their products.
We began to see the added potential of heritage projects for advancing an economic and a social agenda, for fighting poverty and driving development. To be sure, this potential was often ignored, as culture was too easily mislabeled as a luxury amid pressing social and economic needs. Cultural heritage projects are not a diversion from development priorities. Culture is, in and of itself, a development resource of immense potential value.
One of AKDN's biggest success stories is in Cairo, where a 500-year-old dump was transformed into a 30-hectare park in the heart of the old city. Al-Azhar Park acted as a springboard for the revitalization of Al-Darb al-Ahmar, a poor neighborhood next to the park. This has provided skills training, jobs, and the restoration of homes and monuments, leading to tourism and stronger pride and identity. Profits are reinvested to make the park self-sustainable, and to continue development projects for the community. Parks and gardens can also play an educational role. They can teach about the importance of caring for the environment, while those in Europe and North America also seek to educate non-Muslims about the diversity and rich history of the Muslim world, and to correct misperceptions of Islam. The Aga Khan Centre in London's King's Cross is a place of education, knowledge, cultural exchange, and insight into Muslim civilizations.
What we will see as we walk along are not only beautiful buildings, but also a unique series of gardens, courtyards, and terraces, 8 of them in all, across our 2 buildings. Each one of them, moreover, has a distinctive identity. Each one is inspired by a different region of the Islamic Ummah. Taken together, this winding ribbon of special spaces is an eloquent tribute to the rich diversity of the Muslim world.
The diverse Islamic gardens at King's Cross reflect an educational mandate to bridge cultural divides. Similarly, the Aga Khan Garden in Edmonton also aims to educate about Muslim culture and design.
The notion of the Paradise Garden is not well known in the West. The construction of one of these gardens in Edmonton has to be seen in the context of a global strategy that His Highness the Aga Khan has developed to facilitate a better understanding of Muslim societies and cultures from the Western world and their citizens.
One thing that has personally been quite moving to me is His Highness's commitment to the education to the world of the power, the grace, and the history of Islam, and to be able to participate in the vehicles for this knowledge, the gardens that we've been invited to design, is a tremendous honor.
The parks and gardens developed by the Ismaili Imamat under His Highness the Aga Khan's vision and direction have multifaceted aims. They are spiritual and communal spaces. They contribute positively to the environment. They are catalysts for cultural and economic development. And they educate about the diversity and richness of Muslim cultures.